As you know, we are here to answer the question, who is haunting McKinney? My name is David Sloan. This is Jordan Aiken. And this is second comedian, Melissa Keel. And we've been doing an investigation here for the past couple of months based on some stories that we've heard here in the agency. We're an advertising agency. And we've heard stories for years since we moved into this space. This space is an old factory from the American Tobacco campus. It used to make Lucky Strike cigarettes. Very old space, and we moved into it. And since then, we have heard different stories. Employees have had certain experiences, and so we thought that it would be fun and interesting here in this particular season to explore on our own and see what we can find out. So that's what we're here to do tonight.
This is all part of an initiative put forth by McKinney. This is part of the McKinney 10% project. What McKinney does is it allows us to devote 10% of our time to innovation and creation and finding new ways to marry together creativity and technology. And this is one of those projects. We had this great idea early on to find out who's haunting McKinney, and we're using a variety of technology that we haven't used before to help tell that story. So if you are watching this now, you're probably watching this through Google Hangouts on air feed that's broadcast through whoishaunting.mckinney.com. So we're using Google Hangouts, we're using Google Plus, we're taking submissions and questions through Twitter, Facebook, and our Google Plus accounts, and we are using Google Glass as one of our cameras to help walk us through this building.
Something we've done through Google Hangouts is a new application that we haven't seen before, and that is to set up cameras, set up different accounts, and we have different computers that are each signed into a different account, and they're all hanging out together. We've used that to set up a surveillance system here in the building, and there'll also be mobile cameras that are hanging out here as well.
To that point, we do have a control room where we have a cameraman that's able to switch through these cameras. His name is David McClay. David, would you be able to cycle through the different camera angles that we have?
Sure, Jordan. Right now we have, if you'll look to your right, this is a camera of shot from the bleachers, looking towards where you're currently standing. We also have a shot overlooking our elevator entrance and our cafe. This is our main entrance, looking down towards Blackwell Street. This is looking from the Reed Building into Strickland. We have a shot of our cafe downstairs in Reed Building. This is a shot in the back corner of Reed Building near the retouching room, where I think you guys will be later. And we are back to you.
Okay, cool. Thank you very much. So here's what we're going to be doing tonight. We will have investigative teams that will be recreating some of the experiments that we have done so far in the building and got some results. We're going to try to replicate results. We will have 2 to 3 teams in different spots in the building. We'll switch to one of those soon, and they will try to replicate those results. But as you're watching that, if there's anything you would like our teams to ask or anything you'd like to try, you can see how to contact us right below this window. And you can also contact us if you're watching through Google Hangouts. You can contact us through Twitter, Facebook, so on, and let us know if there's something you'd like us to try, something you'd like us to do. We're going to start with one of those, about a 15-minute session, different spots around the building to try to replicate some of the results we've gotten before and get some new results. And Joe Levinsky will be leading some of those teams. And then we will move over to a session with Melissa, and we will spend about 30 minutes with her and getting some her interpretation of what she feels, what she's interacting here with in the space. And we'll keep alternating back and forth between those two. And in the meantime, we can, when we're moving from one spot to the next, we'll have some history of the building we can talk to you about, tell you more about our team, tell you more about what we're doing tonight. And finally, our last session with Melissa at 11:20 tonight will be when we will be taking your questions that we've gotten from you already through our site, the questions we get throughout the night, through Twitter, Facebook, and social networking. Plus, we will take those, and Melissa will pose those questions to the space, and and that is your chance to also interact directly through social media with the spirit entities that might be in this place. So this is something we've never tried before, haven't seen tried before through this technology, and we're really looking forward to what happens tonight. It should be a lot of fun. Definitely be a lot of fun. It might be a little spooky, but that's pretty appropriate.
And I think before we get started on it, we'll just say a quick thank you to the people that are letting us do this and helping us put this together. We do have Jonathan Koo, Jim Russell, and Joey Madison. They're our 10% committee. The people that we have here on the ground with us. I'm going to try to go through this list if I drop anybody. We have Kylie Kirk, we have Andy Ives, we have Nick Brenton, we have Joe Levinsky.
And we have our interns, Michelle Smith and Scott Dobbin, and that's most of the team. Joel Richardson is also going to be manning your Facebook and Twitter and social media feed. So getting all that out of the way, I just wanted to acknowledge what we're doing, and we wanted to let you guys know what was going to be going on, and we're about to get started. So I think the first thing we're going to do, are we going to go ahead and switch over to Joel?
Yeah. Well, at this point, I believe that we're going to switch down to our first group. They are in the presentation theater.
We're actually going to kick it back to David. He's going to screen share.
Okay, yeah, we're going to kick to David McClay. He's going to give a little bit of history of the building and the space we're in, which may answer some questions or help you guys form some questions as to what may or may not be going on here in this space. And when he wraps up, then we'll be kicking it down to the Team 1 in presentation theater, where we had some interesting activity a few weeks ago. So thank you very much, and let's get started.
Kick it to David.
All right, guys, this is back in the control room. We're getting some early feedback from some of our viewers that they're having some trouble hearing over the music of the site. So I'm going to show you a very quick fix for how you can do that. I'm going to show you on my own screen. So here we go. So if this is what you're looking at on the site, if you just scroll down, a little bar comes up that gives you a speaker button, and if you click that, the music will go mute. It will go mute for you. We're working on getting that fixed as we speak, but until then, that's a real quick fix to make sure you can hear all the action. So now I think I'm going to kick it down to Nick,
All right.
and we're going to go from there. Nick, just make sure that you unmute your mic.
Hey everybody, it's Joe and Michelle down here in the presentation theater at McKinney, right in the lobby of McKinney. This area of the building used to be a machine shop and a cooper shop. So I'm going to introduce you guys to some of the instruments we're going to be using tonight, the most simple of which is the K2 meter. This measures electromagnetic force. We've already swept the whole room with this, and there's no electromagnetic readings in here from equipment or anything like that. So you can see we've got a nice flat one light on. So if this jumps up, that could indicate some electromagnetic activity in the area, presence of a spirit or energy that a spirit could use to manifest, make a noise or something like that. Michelle over here has the K2 meter, and this is the Mel meter. This measures both EMF as well as temperature. And so what's the baseline temperature in the room right now?
72.
Okay, so if we see a big drop in that, Michelle will let us know. A large drop in temperature could indicate, again, spirit presence, some sort of spirit trying to manifest, pulling energy from the air, dropping the temperature. So we'll keep our eyes on these. We've also got a laser grid shining against the wall there, and the theory with laser grid is if anything passes in between the laser and the wall, we're going to see it. It'll shimmer, it'll look like some sort of a figure sort of passing in front of it. More subtle than that, but and we also have a chair set up down there, and we'll see if maybe someone wants to come and join us for the session. So, aside from keeping our eyes on these two devices, we're going to be asking questions, and we're going to be using a piece of technology called the Spirit Box. And it's just a scanning FM radio that goes through each station in the FM spectrum at 100 milliseconds. So you shouldn't really be able to hear anything more than little snippets of radio noise in there. So what we'll be doing is we'll be listening for voices that sound like they're not radio voices, phrases, whole sentences, things that couldn't possibly just be radio noise in the background. We'll dismiss anything that sounds obviously like radio. And we're also listening for direct answers to our questions to see if we get them. So we are going to turn the speakers on for this now. Watch out, it's kind of loud. It's already cycling through all the stations. And you're going to hear a lot of static, and we're going to start asking some questions, and maybe dim the lights a little bit, and see what we can get with the spirit box. So this is what it normally sounds like. Can you guys hear me okay over the static? Okay. I'm already hearing little snippets of voices, but nothing answering any questions. So let's start the session by saying you're only interested in speaking with the spirits of human dead, no other entities. Do you want to speak with us through this device? We're interested to hear if anybody who worked or lived or died in this building wants to talk to us. So, is there anybody with us right now? If you're here in the room with us, can you tell us your name? Okay. Do you know either of our names? Really just sounds like radio noise right now. How about, did you work in this building? What was your job here? Were you a cooper? Did you make barrels? Did you work for the tobacco company? Are you hearing anything that sounds like anything? Do you think of any questions that you might like to ask?
Are you a man or a woman?
Are you a man? Okay. Do you wear a fedora hat? Do you smoke cigarettes or cigars? Just dead space for a while. Not really hearing anything intelligent or responding to us really. Sounded like it said yeah, but could just feel a little piece of getting some words coming through, but my ears aren't good enough to pick them out. So down in this room we've had some success before using these other devices, so I'm going to turn off the spirit box for right now. Hello? Did someone just say hello? Are you a woman? What's your name? Sort of inconclusive. So I'm going to turn off the spirit box right now, and we're going to try the same sort of a session using these devices and see if we can get the spirits to come in proximity. You've noticed probably that this device hasn't made a bump this whole time we've been sitting here, as far as I can tell. So I'm going to cut off the spirit box. And right now what we're going to do is we're just going to use this and see if we can get it to light up. We've had some success with this before. We've also had some unusual voices, like a scream or something like that, heard down in this room, but only heard on a digital recording. No one in the room actually heard it as it happened. Can we kill that? So let's just make sure they've got a good view of this. Look at this one too. And we're going to look for any sort of jumps. So we didn't have much success with the spirit box so far, but we'd still like you to come and interact with us. And you can do that by coming up towards these gray devices on the table. Just come right up to them, and you'll see a light start to light up. So if there's someone here, please come towards us. Maybe you can invite spirit to join us.
We can use the spirits and past, and if you would like to engage and interact with us, please come towards one of these devices so we know it's here. Make a sound.
So yeah, definitely see if you can light this up. It doesn't take that much energy to do, but I want you to know that if you're having trouble interacting with us, you've interacted with us down here before. What you can do is, I've got a little flashlight or hand torch here, this little silver thing, and inside of it are some batteries. They give off a lot of energy. If you want, just suck the energy out of this little flashlight here and see if you can use that energy to make these lights light up. We'd really appreciate it if you come and talk to us. Your footsteps, I'm pretty sure that's a person. So can you make a sound inside of this room for us? Can you perhaps push a chair, or knock on a table? No. I think that was someone joining. Okay, so no action on the K2 or the Mel. We're at 72.2 degrees, and on the Mel meter, we've got 0.0 milligauss of electromagnetic energy around us. So there's absolutely no electric field going on here right now. It doesn't seem like we have the spirits with us either. So let's maybe try something more direct. Let's take a look for a couple minutes at the laser grid. And we've got a nice comfy chair for you right over there. Just come up, sit down at the table with us and chat. We're friendly people. We'd like to see you come sit down with us. Maybe we can chat. You can tell us about when you're in this building. See anything at all? I don't know. See anything? Sometimes you'll see it shimmer a little bit. Somebody passed in front of it. You're also welcome to come and walk up to this gray box, this thing right here, and tap. Why don't you come tap your finger right in front of it like I am? See, when I do it, nothing happens. But if you do it, this box is going to light up, and that's know that you're doing. Come on and tap right there. Good. So maybe you're not in this part of the building right now. Could you give us any sign where in the building we should investigate to find you? Where can we go to talk to you tonight? So it's really easy to come interact with this device. We're wondering why you're not coming. Are you not coming out because there's too many people around in the building tonight? We have a very large crew here. Don't be scared. We're all really friendly. We're not here to cast you out. We're not here to take your space. We'd just like you to come sit down with us. Just do something to let us know you're here. Don't be afraid of all the other people and the lights and all the strange devices.
I'm going to cut the lights for a second. Let's just be here.
Let's listen in, see if we can hear anything odd. Well, all right. Hopefully we can come and interact with you in some other part of McKinney tonight. It was good to try to talk to you, and best of luck to the rest of the teams as they investigate the rest of McKinney. So we're done for now, right now down here. So we want to close out the session. Do not follow either of us or any of the investigators outside of this building. You're welcome to stay here in the building, but we'd like to talk to you in the building. So we'd like to thank you for your time and respectfully close the session. So back to you, Control Center.
All right, so this is we're back in the control room for a few minutes. I briefly wanted to talk you through a little bit about the history of the building. As has been alluded to, this was originally built as a cigarette and tobacco factory. Construction started on the campus in 1874. Although the buildings that we're in, they didn't start until 1902, and the second building started in 1947. It served a lot of purposes, and again, we've talked about some of them in some of our other investigations. It's been a warehouse, it's been a stimmery, it's been a cooper shop. Cigarette operations ceased here in about the mid-'80s, where it lay dormant for about 20 years almost, before Capital Broadcasting moved in, fixed it up, and McKinney has been here since 2004. If you're interested in any more of the history, there's a great feature on the website. If you're new to the website, we've got a overview. If you keep scrolling down, we've got an overview of the area and how it looks now, for those of you who have never been here. And then we've got a floor plan, and a lot of these places we're going to be tonight. And each one of these little spots is a feature that you can investigate. Some of them are evidence that shows us some of the stuff that we've found at investigations here. Some of them are interviews of McKinney employees and experiences that they've had. Some of them are pretty weird. We also have pieces of history, like photographs that you can browse, as well as just overviews that give you a little bit more in-depth history about the purpose of the campus, the buildings themselves. You can even see historical maps dating as far back as 1902 when the first building in our offices were built. Another thing that I can share with you guys are some other photos that we have of early work here. I'll show you what a cigarette machine looked like in the mid-1950s. If I can scroll up. So this is what would have occupied a large percentage of the floor space at American Tobacco, or something like it right up until the mid-80s. At one point, almost 90% of the tobacco products used in the United States were American Tobacco brands. American Tobacco was actually one of the original members of the Dow Jones 12, and it was so big, in fact, that in 1911 it had to be broken up into several smaller companies because of antitrust litigation. What was produced here at this factory was largely Lucky Strike cigarettes, which is why we've got this beautiful, iconic water tower and smokestack right outside of our building with the great Lucky Strike logo on it. But also a very special form of tobacco called Bull Durham tobacco. It's where the town really gets its identity, and that was developed right here on this very property by a man by the name of Blackwell, dating back to the earliest days of this property's existence here. So that kind of gives you an overview of what makes this place special historically, beyond just the history and the purpose of the buildings. We also are lucky to have absolutely gorgeous architecture, open space, high wooden ceilings, and a lot of brick. So I would really encourage anybody who is interested to check out some more of the hot spots on the site. If you're into the seance kind of stuff, we do have these Ouija sessions that are transcribed for you to see. You can read everything that was said and all the responses that we got from the board, as well as, let me scroll for you. At the very bottom, you can submit your theory based on anything that's happened here tonight, any of the evidence that you've read. You can submit your theory for who you think is haunting McKinney. If you have any questions for us that you'd like us to ask our on-site medium, Melissa Peel, or anything that you want us to try, you are encouraged to interact with us, and you can do that just beneath the video player. You should see, and here we go, you should see Facebook, Twitter, email, and Google+. We'd love to talk to you. So without any further ado, I believe we are going to kick it back over to our team, which is down in our catering kitchen. I'm going to go ahead and mute up here in the control room, and if you guys down there can turn on your mics, we'd love to hear what you have to say.
Thanks, David. I hope everybody can hear us down here. I'm here with Melissa Peel, and we're down at the catering kitchen on the second floor of the Reed building at the American Tobacco campus in Durham, North Carolina. And I want to apologize for any of the feedback earlier on. We understand we had a little bit of a sound issue. Hopefully it's all smoothed out by now, but thank you everybody for writing in and telling us about it. Help us get things fixed a lot quicker. Just a quick overview on what we're going to do down here. We've divided these up into little segments here and there where we have, earlier on, we had our own team investigating different areas. And after that, we're going to have a session with Melissa Keel, our psychic medium from Raleigh, at different locations throughout the building to see what might be in this space that we can't see or hear. So I think, Melissa, would you be able to talk a little bit about what it is that you're going to do or what you're about to do?
Sure. So what I normally do is, before doing any kind of session, I try to open up the doors of communication with any spirits so that they feel comfortable to be able to come through. Essentially, someone who has intuition is kind of like a bright light in a dark room, and that brings their communication that much easier to us because I will be able to sense them, be it seeing them, hearing them, feeling them, anything like this that's going to make a difference to recognize their communication. Every medium does work different, meaning that they receive information in a variety of different ways. My typical style is having my eyes closed, so you might find me walking around eyes closed at times, but that's actually always my information. We might actually be able to feel things. So if there's anything that you feel too, please jump in. You're going to notice in each of our locations that I'm going to have a candle in front of me. Candles is another way that spirit can communicate with us. At this point in time, we have our candle going on for quite a few minutes, and pretty much the flame here is pretty solid and steady. You might notice sometimes it may flicker. We might use this as a tool to answer yes or no questions. Sometimes it may go out. We're going to kind of test this and leave this lit up in each of our locations throughout the rest of our evening. So if by the end of the night some of them are blown out, we'll know that someone was here. I do often draw pictures based on what I see, which kind of gives us more tangible evidence of what exactly it is that I'm looking at. So we'll just kind of take it and see what happens.
Cool. And is there anything that I need to do, or just stand here and...
You can jump in whenever you'd like to. If there's any questions that you have or anything like that, you're welcome to jump in.
Fantastic. Otherwise, I'll hang out here and what you'd like to do.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is just go ahead and get myself centered. I just have to take a few deep breaths to get into the space that we create with these spirits. Okay. So first and foremost, right as soon as I'm getting myself centered, I'm noticing that there's a shakiness, which means that I'm picking up on vibrational energy that's here. I'm going to try and dig deeper into that. So I'm just going to ask the question, is there one spirit here? And I'm going to look for yes or no. I'm seeing thumbs up. I'm going to see, is there two spirits there? I feel like there could be, but there's really only one that's coming forward. And this person feels like a male, and this is exactly what he did. He went kind of looking this way and then just kind of went like that, as if, no, this is my space, this is for me to start being in. So I'm going to ask him to tell me a little bit about himself, if he can. The very first symbol that shows up, I do see a hat. This hat has a feather to it. It reminds me of a fedora hat, but specifically it's got this feather. I'm going to ask him why this is significant. I feel like this provided him with protection, sort of like a safety kind of thing. Kind of if someone was to wear it today, and if their accessory to make them feel cool. This is exactly what he was wearing at that point in time. He has this kind of sly energy, the way that I perceive him. He kind of walks around like this, kind of looking around to see, okay, who's here, what's there. It doesn't really feel to me like he's maybe the understanding character, because he really, I want to say, sly as a fox. Just kind of knows where to go, how to be. Someone who kind of tries to get information, but it's always for his benefit. And that's why I'm feeling like the slyness comes forth. So I'm going to ask him the question, what is he looking for here in this space? Why is he still here? So he tells me that because he's always been in the shadows, but this is what he's done, this is what he does. He doesn't like to give that up, even though he's dead. Now, just to give people a background about spirit, when there's someone who has intent, and that not necessarily isn't always the best of intention, or they feel like they didn't complete their task, sometimes when they pass on into the spirit world, they actually do not quite accept with it they have actually passed. This would be one of the reasons that this person would be tied to this space, because this is what they feel they did. I don't know if you guys have seen shadows in this particular space, but I feel like pay attention out of the periphery of your vision at points in time. Again, if you're studying here alone, if you're eating in here by yourself, I'm feeling like there's going to be some sort of a shadow figure that kind of walks by to the point where out of the periphery you might be like, oh, I think I saw someone. And then when you look over, you're like, no, no one's there, but I know what I just saw. If that's ever the case, it's because you're picking up the energy of the person walking by you. That's clearly what I'm taking a look at as one of the things that you should be on the lookout for. Again, to be more clear about what this person rests in, because he has this kind of mysterious way, pay attention for that hat. I also feel a trench coat. At least the look of a trench coat in the shadow figure. I want to ask him, is there any specific reason, is there someone that he's looking for? Will tell me more about the unfinished business, why he still is here. He tells me the word secrets. Secrets about what? He just does this, like, and again, he's thinking this way. I'm going to reassure him that he's safe. The secrets are safe with us. Does he have insider information that would hurt somebody? I'm going to ask it differently. Do you have information that would be damaging to yourself if anyone found out that you have this information? Yes. Okay. What does this information pertain to? The heart starts to beat really quickly. My body picks up on what spirit feels, and because he's starting to have his heart pounding, this tells me that's something that makes him nervous. If you have any questions, you're welcome to jump in about what this might be, but I'm still going to open it up to him. Okay, now he shows me, I feel like even though we know that he was kind of sly and he would kind of go around in places that sometimes I feel like people trusted him, not always should they have. And I feel like he came at one point in time and overheard something that he really didn't mean to overhear, because I see his eyes going, oh my gosh, now what do I do with this? And this is where the trouble began, because he overheard a conversation, he had the information, this made me nervous, deer in headlights. And so then what? What happened next? He shows me, sometimes they show dramatic images, and in this particular scene, it's almost like if someone was to go run and go, okay, am I safe over here, am I safe over there? And I feel like he literally goes around from place to place. In my interpretation of that, this is his nerves and his guilty conscience hanging on to that, trying to hold in the secret, but I feel like the conversation between two people that he overheard, that's one of those people discovered that he did overhear this, and now he's fearful of his safety.
So when you hear this, is this a voice that you're hearing, or is it images that you're seeing?
These are images as well as the feelings about it. Sometimes, like I saw the word secrets written, I perceive things in a lot of different ways. Okay, so I want to fast forward a little bit to a major event. Tell me a little bit about, did this secret come back to hurt you in some way? He says, oh yeah, and he's shaking his head. Okay, so tell us a little bit more about that. and I'm just going to jump to some significant questions to move things along. I'm going to ask him to also open it up, so if there's any tapping or any knocking that he would like to do, because I know that knocking has happened in this room before. If there's any sort of symbol that he would like to do with us, if the answer is yes, I'm going to ask once. If the answer is no, he can knock twice. So that's going to be in addition to what I'm going to be perceiving from him, so that we all in here can perceive that. So this information that was secretive, that someone else had discovered that you had, Mr. Spirit here, is this something that led to your death? So he shows me a shakiness like this. And when I see the sideways thumbs, this indicates maybe. So I'm going to dig deeper in that. Tell me, why did it relate to your death, and why did it not? He tells me that he was scared to death, like scaredness-wise. This was his feeling about things. I want to understand, why did this not lead to his death? There's this looming shadow that's over him, almost like the guilty conscience. So there's that part to it. I want to see what else. I'm just going to clarify this for a second here. Did this really lead to the physical death of you? I'm not getting an answer, but the feeling that came in was almost like a quick jolt or quick shot to the body, almost to the point where it hits you and it knocks you backwards. But I'm not being shown a definite yes or no.
Okay.
Okay. So go ahead and tell me anything more about yourself that would be pertinent to understand why you're attached to this building. So I feel like he just keeps trying to hide and try to find places that are safe for him, but that he can feel, I can finally rest and I can finally relax, because he's not in a place of resting and relaxing because of the information he gathered.
Okay. And are those places that he goes to, are those throughout this building or this area?
Specifically, it's this area. Yes, he's in throughout the building because, again, he's kind of like always trying to go behind walls to feel safe. I feel like this area is a safe place because not many people in his time would have looked for someone like himself in this kitchen area. This would have been a safe place for him, where that's the last place that people would go. They were going to be looking in offices and so forth. So this felt like a safe hiding place for him to just collect himself and relax. Okay. So I want to move forward into, is there anything that he needs from the people in this building to make him feel at peace? All he wants is to be acknowledged. I feel like this was because he was on the run, because he had these secrets. He didn't feel he ever really belonged, but this is a man of that time where he was stuck between rock and hard place. He feels like his employment was on the line. He had these secrets. Because he had the reputation of being one to be kind of sly, he knew that this was kind of something working against him. But that's what I'm taking a look at, is he just wanted to be away from, I'm going to call it the drama of, you know, being that sly person, and kind of feel more acknowledged, feel like he actually belongs somewhere, instead of having to be in the shadows hiding all the time.
Do we know any specifics about him, like his place of employment, or maybe a name that's tied to him, or anything like that?
Great question. I want him to tell us a little bit about the work that he did. He shows me now this image of a, I want to say a suit. It's not that I see the full thing, but I feel him doing this, almost like his looks matter. So I'm going to ask him, does that mean that he's in business? Is he a salesperson? What is this? He tells me that he had to schmooze with people. So again, getting to the core, are you in sales? Do you represent whatever company you work for? Okay, I do get the feeling that the answer is yes, because in this he takes his hat down and puts it back on. Very typical of somebody, an older gentleman, obviously, that would be doing this as a sign of courtesy or respect.
Okay.
So yes, this indeed is he's somehow related to the face of a company that he works for. Again, I'm going to ask him to tell me more about this, being this is his job to be the face. Tell us more. He tells me first and foremost, before he's getting to any of that, this particular role that he has is a prominent one. He says that a lot rides on it, and he literally shows me like this, where he has to stay calm, cool, and collected. So, show me any kind of industry that you belong to. Okay. So this feels to me very much like a tobacco-related something. He tells me that this is the Southern pride, this is the Southern way. He says this is where he says a lot rides on this, but he makes this point to say this is the Southern way. And then he shows me fields like tobacco leaves. His job has nothing to do with the field. Again, it's about representing and distributing or selling and making it this. Okay. So let's jump into, does this man have a name? If any name happens to pop in. So I do see the name Walter being written, but it's all in caps. He shows me like this. Tell me more about you, Walter. This is what's haunting him. He's now starting to tell me, he goes, I'm just a man trying to make a life, trying to make an earnest living. He's starting to get a little impatient. He's starting to get a little more animated because he almost feels like he's caught, if that makes sense. Because again, here he is trying to always be in the shadows. I'm going to tell him to calm down. I'm going to ask him what he needs from me. And I'm going to reassure him that he's safe. Again, he keeps going, is everything clear? Yes, everything is clear. I want to ask him a little bit more, if there's any more insight as to who he overheard a conversation from and what this conversation pertained to. Okay. I do feel like this conversation was amongst two gentlemen. The one person that I specifically see that faced Walter here was a man who seemed as if he was in earnest. He should have been someone who was trustworthy. I do not see the guy that he's talking with. His back was to Walter at that time. My perspective is behind Walter. And in all of this, this man who looks earnest, like I say, now all of a sudden has to kind of cover some things up and has to try and win over Walter to keep this secret from there. My first initial feeling was embezzlement of money. Or there was a dishonesty around money and that kind of thing. Were these people stealing money for their own personal gain? Was this part of their plan? Yes, and he says that they, I feel like they kept this money either stuffed in mattresses or something like this where no one would know, but indeed this would be how it was for them. Okay. So he was overhearing something that he should not have around their personal gain. Any questions that you have that you'd like to jump in with?
I'm wondering, some of the things that you hit on, actually, we had heard stories from people that work here say those same things. People that would come in early and walk down the ramp and know that somebody's behind them and turn around and only catch a glimpse of a shadow, and that's it. The outfit that you described has been seen before. There's a man in a fedora walking around. Actually, above us, right above this location, is the studio area of McKinney, and we have heard stories of somebody fitting that description being in that area. So what you're saying is lining up with a lot of the accounts that you can find on the website, who'shaunted.mckinney.com. And you can dive into that. And so a lot of these things are marrying up nicely. I'm wondering, when I was in this area the last time, I had I tried to do some little song work with whoever might be here. And I did this thing called Shaving a Haircut. This very old tune, and you do the first part of it and see if anybody answers with the second part of it. I'm wondering if this person that you're talking to had a hand in that, because we definitely got some responses out of it.
Okay. So is this the same person who took part with this little tune? I'm going to take it a next further step, and we'll just ask him if he can, if he's the person who did this, we're going to ask him to go ahead and replicate that.
Okay.
So, do you want to knock like
sure.
we did at that time?
I can go ahead and give this another try. This was the same place that we did it last time. This is called Shaving a Haircut. I'm going to do the first part, and the last little bit is just 2 little knocks at the end. Let me know if anybody can help me out and repeat it.
We can try again. I didn't hear any response.
No, I didn't either. We can give it another shot. Anybody around want to help us out with this? I want to do the first part of Shaving a Haircut. Let me know if you can wrap it up for me.
Okay.
No dice.
Nope. So I'm just going to ask the question to this Walter. Were you the person who did help with that last time? He says no. Again, this is someone who's got a low profile,
Okay.
so he doesn't want to be. He's the one in the shadows.
All right.
All right. What other kinds of questions might we want to ask him?
This person in particular, has he done anything around the office that some other people might have caught wind of? We know that some of the elevators actually open and close and move on their own. Does he have any hand in that, or does he have any physical hand in anything else?
So you're looking for signs and symbols today?
No, anytime over the past 9 years that McKinney has been here.
Right, okay. So regarding this company. Yep. All right. Well, first of all, electronics comes through for me. Specifically, what pops in for me is loud sounds once in a great while.
Okay.
I can write these down for you if you want.
Sure, yeah.
So it feels to me like loud sounds. I'm just going to be writing down what I pick up there. But specifically electronics. One of the things that I feel, again, pay attention for if ever you feel like someone is behind you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that he's necessarily staring over you, but this more feels like the wind that trails behind. But again, someone would look back and go, no one's actually here. I want to jump to the actual building itself. What other things does he do? I want to make note of this too. The wind trails that's here, they feel cold in nature.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a very distinct cold feeling. And this makes sense to me because if he was this person perceived to be cold that worked in this company, that's the kind of trail that he's going to give to us.
Okay.
I do feel like he's going to show up as an apparition, meaning that when one perceives that someone is there, you physically see them as if they really are. However, you can see right through their body.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like just like this, they kind of, they can just come and go just like that, disappearing, kind of like things you would really see on TV. I do feel like this happens. He feels to me like a more quiet sort, because indeed he doesn't like for people to really know that he's around very much. I don't know if we mentioned this in the beginning. I am sorry if I'm repeating this, but as soon as we walked in this room, there was a very distinct smell, kind of a curious odor. We're not sure what tobacco would have smelled like back then, whether it was cured or uncured, but there certainly was some sort of a smell that instantly we were able to see. Because this spirit is in here, I'm just going to ask him to double check, is this him giving us that sign and symbol? Okay, yes it is. So there's going to be an odor associated with him. Again, I'm going to mention electronics, but this time specifically it feels to me like he goes to computers. I want you to pay attention for things that should be functioning well and they don't. Things will either cut off and then they come right back on. He's mentioning to me around his energy. I feel like even though he tries to be this strong, kind of spruced up sort of person, I feel like sometimes he will drain the energy from other people because, again, it comes all back down to the fact that he didn't have the attention that he needed, so he's going to draw from things so that he has what he needs to still feel like he's able to stand tall and proud like he once did. Yeah, we heard a knock.
Did hear a knock off of
Yes,
the
we did.
presentation theater.
Okay.
I'm wondering, did he pass away in the building or around the area by chance?
Okay, so give us more information around your passing if there's any information about where. And if you can do that knock again, this would be really great. Let's ask the question, did you die around this building or in this building? I don't get an answer on that. So did you die elsewhere? I do feel like this was elsewhere, but I do feel like this came as a result of someone coming after him. This feels to me very underground, very kind of quick-handed.
Did he harm anybody by chance?
Okay. I'm going to say yes in this one, and it's not that he gave me the answer, but again, he now shows me, instead of with this suit, but back to this trench coat of sorts, he reminds me of someone who's got these secrets under there and is like, well, now we can open up and see, things are starting to get exposed, in other words. Okay. Tell us more about that. What kinds of things would have been perceived to hurt people? He tells me around personal gain. He gives me a plus sign. I feel like because he was who he was very smooth, he knew how to navigate through things. He would use this against people. Again, let me explain, when a spirit passes away and dies, they kind of have to go through this period of watching all different aspects of their life, things that they were proud of, things that they were not so proud of. And when they get into a spot of not really accepting, that's where they stay stuck. So because he's now starting to open up his coat and start to see these things, now we're starting to get to the core.
Okay.
You want me to continue?
Well, is now a good time to, are you able to break up these sections and pick up at another time, or does it need to be one continuous piece?
We can continue. We'll ask him to continue to follow us, stay connected to our energies, because we still would like to continue the conversation.
Well, great. I think that would be fantastic.
Okay. All right. We'll pick back up later.
Hey, Jordan. Would it be possible to chime in with a question from email?
Sure. Fire away.
Okay. We just got a question from email asking whether Ruth, who the person that you're talking to, if Ruth was that person's daughter. If the daughter's name was Ruth.
Okay.
So was Ruth Walter's daughter.
Okay. I'm going to back up and even ask him if he had a daughter, because I didn't get a response to that one. Okay, I do feel like he does have a daughter. Is her name Ruth? And if not, what is the name? If there's a name that needs to show for me. I see the letter N. I don't see the letter R at all. Show me anything else around her name. This feels like N-A-T. Is this Natalie? Is this Natalia? Show me more. I'm not getting more, but I just see this underlined. Okay, is there anything more about any other children? I'm seeing the number 2. Tell me about the other one. I feel like the other one is a male. Tell me more about him. He feels quite young, very impressionable, very naive. I feel like this Walter was not able to be, I would call it the best role model for him. I don't feel like Walter was around for him very much. That's where this boy is left kind of hanging for that father figure of sorts. And again, this comes back down to Walter not feeling so good because of his ways, always trying to be sly and meander and try to get himself ahead. So there is this male here. Tell me anything more about him. All I see is a boy that's crying, and I feel like that's what I consistently hear is crying. I'm not getting a name. I'm not getting anything else. If I could just describe, maybe he was 3 or 4 years old, but he just feels very lost and left alone, abandoned. That's what I can say. So to answer that that person's question, I do not feel like Ruth necessarily was the daughter, and if so, I'm not getting any kind of information around that.
Right. And we've got one other question from email, and this is actually from an employee who just today, Jordan, right where you're standing, there's a microwave right beneath you. And whenever she closed the microwave, before she even turned it on, the turntable would start spinning, which kind of relates back to what you talked about. Like the microwave would be off and it would be spinning. Right. It kind of relates back to what you talked about electronics malfunctioning. Can you maybe ask the spirit about that?
Okay. So Walter, were you the one who was playing with the microwave here in this area today? Yes, and again, this was his way to be sly, and this was his way to be able to shake things up. And I always laugh a little bit because spirits do funny things like this, shaking up the microwave little tray in there because he's trying to shake it up for us to get going here. So
it sounds like he has fun doing these things, and it's not a malicious.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, this is his way to kind of come back to say, see, I'm not such a bad guy after all. Because he was feeling bad about the personal gain that he took place here and so forth. So now that, again, he's like, okay, is everything clear? Clearly no one's here to harm him, no one's here, he just wants the acknowledgement, and now he's able to get that, which is what he was not able to before. Yes.
Okay. Well, cool. I think this might be a good time to transition to another team, and I think that I'm going to turn it over to David to remind people how to interact with us and to transition to the next team.
All right.
David's long.
Hello, everybody. So thank you very much for watching, those who have.
And now what we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit while we transition, just get ready for the next field 2. The team 2 is about to go do another experiment out in the field and test trying to replicate a few more results that we've gotten in the past. We can walk this way just a little bit, get back in the light. Now we can leave this. But we'll be going up there in just a few minutes. Just want to remind you guys that what we're doing right now is investigating who is haunting McKinney. McKinney is an advertising agency in Durham, North Carolina. We moved our headquarters here into the old Lucky Strike factory on the American Tobacco campus in 2004. Since that time, employees have reported unexplained sightings, smells, sounds, occurrences. Have employees that don't like staying here after dark, and so we decided that we would investigate that on our own and use some of our skills and abilities here as advertisers. That was loud. Use some of our skills and abilities as advertisers to maybe investigate that in a unique way. So that's what we're doing now. The question tonight is, who is haunting McKinney? We have an on-site psychic medium named Melissa Peel, and she is here. We just finished a session with her. She'll be coming back on in about 15 minutes to walk around the building with us, and she'll be asking questions or trying to interact with spirits in other locations in the building. After that, we'll do one more investigation, and finally there will be another session with Melissa. The final session with Melissa will be all questions that come from you, the viewers, and other visitors to our website over the past month that have come along. So I think by now we should be about ready upstairs to start Team 2 in the second investigation. So I think we're going to switch to that, and we'll walk up there and join them once the camera has already switched over to that. So again, thank you very much. Don't forget to interact with us. If you're on who'shauntingmckinney.com, right below the window, you should see Facebook, Twitter, email, Google+. If you're on Google+, you can interact with us through that, or you can open another window to who'shauntingmckinney.com and use those links to interact with us directly. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to get your questions, get your theories, and we want you to help us figure out what's going on here. So thanks a lot, and we're going to move upstairs.
So while the next team gets situated, we're going to go ahead and show anybody who's joined us a little late all the different views that we're going to be using tonight. So right now you can see our team getting set up at the next location. Right nearby them, we've got a shot looking down into our cafe area. This is a shot of our main lobby, looking down from the
Everybody
second
hear me
floor,
okay?
down out onto Blackwell Street. And then this is a shot of our other half of the building, Strickland, looking into back towards Reed. It sounds like we're about ready to start with the next team, so we're going to go over to them. Jordan, we're ready for you whenever you're ready.
Fantastic. Can everybody hear me now? Yes. Good. Okay. Glad to hear it. I'm here with Scott Dobbin, right? Yeah, Dobbin, and he is a copywriting intern here with us at McKinney, and we've moved to a different location now. We are still in the Reed building of the American Tobacco campus. We're on the 3rd floor now, and actually, I think they can see us up there. This is part of the creative arc of the building. So we have an arc that goes around this large open area here, and these are the creative offices. So these are art directors, copywriters and ACDs that use these offices here. There's a giant bleacher area as well, and this is where we have all agency meetings. But let me see, I think, try to get my timelines right, maybe 6 years ago, we had another project that we did here that was another seasonal project, and right in this area, we had something called, I think it was Bubble Boy. I'm not sure if that's actually the official thing that it was called, but we had one of those giant inflatable Christmas lawn ornaments, and it was a giant snow globe. It was an adult-size giant snow globe, and we had an employee stay the night a few nights in that snow globe. So he had a computer with him, and he was able to chat with people through Facebook and Twitter, and he stayed in there for, I think, 48 hours, or 3 days, was it?
Almost 3 days.
Almost 3 days. So his name was Ben Eckerson, and he had a great time in there. He also had some stories to tell that had nothing to do with the seasonal holiday cheer thing that they were doing. This is part of the evidence that you can actually find. It was Snow Globe Boy, now that I think about it. That's the actual proper title of it, is Snow Globe Boy. If you explore the site, you can actually find one of the locations. One of the hot spots is in this area. It's part of the creative arc, and that is Ben's story, his testimony for what happened that night. So he was in his snow globe, and there was a security guard that was actually nearby, just because the American Tobacco campus has a wonderful security staff that watches over the place. But since he was going to be here all night, we had a security person with him, and the security man was not in this area at the time that this happened, but Ben was asleep, and he woke up to the sound of scratching on the side of the plastic dome. And he thought, oh, that's so-and-so, surely to goodness. And it wasn't him. He wasn't nearby. There's a giant bang over there. And I think I know what it was. But there was a scratch on the side of the globe, and he didn't know what it was, and we still can't explain it to this day. That same security guard, I believe, and again, you can listen to Ben's testimony on the site and hear from in his words. But he also went to one of the kitchens. It might have been this area over here, and all of the cabinets and all of the doors were open, and they're never left like that. Everything's closed and shut up for the next day. So that weirded that guy out, and he left, I believe. So Scott and I are in this area where that happened, and we have two different devices with us, and we're going to see if we can get anything to play with these devices. One of these here is a K2 meter, this thing here with the lights on it. This measures electromagnetic fields, and I believe that electricians use it in construction to find live wires behind walls. So anytime this goes near, let me see if I can get this. Anytime this goes near, not a telephone, but an electrical charge, it will light up like crazy. It'll go straight to red. So that's saying that there's an electric force nearby. The other piece that we have here is called a Mel meter, I think, and this measures ambient temperature in the area. So this is something that we can look at. And what does it say right now that the temperature is?
This is temperature 74.2.
74.2.
It's constant
Going up?
It's just down. It went down to 73.8.
We have experienced this type of stuff before. Actually, when we were filming Ben here last time, we had the millimeter in front of us, and we watched it tick down. David McClay might be able to step in here for a second. We watched it tick down 10 degrees, I think. David, does that ring a bell? I think it was about 10 degrees that it came down, which is phenomenal for that to happen just out in the open like that in such a giant space. If it's a condensed room, it could be different. But these are two devices that we have had out in front of us and used at times. And it's something tangible that we can point to and it says, yes, something is happening here. So I think that we might be able to play around with these and see if anything happens. Something that I typically would do is just talk into thin air and see if anything happens over here. And if it does, that's a tangible thing. We can point to it and say, yes, something is happening here. Scott, please feel free to jump in. As a writer, I'm sure you can craft much better questions than I can. But we're wondering, is there anybody in this area in particular, that might want to hang out over here and talk to us, what you can do is that Scott here is holding on to these two little gray boxes, and you can touch them or push them over or play with them or do whatever you want to them, and we should be able to know that you are indeed messing with these. So, I think our buddies turned down the lights. I hope our buddies turn down the lights. If anybody's around here and they want to say anything to us, please hang out around these boxes, and we'll be sure to know what's going on. Can you read the temperature?
The temperature right now is 73.6. While Jordan was talking, it went down to 72.8. So it's kind of been fluctuating between 72.8 and about 74.8.
Oh.
But if there is anything here, we really would like you to kind of place one of these boxes. If you can make it go to red, that would be awesome. And just we're friendly. We just want to talk and communicate with you and kind of just get a better understanding of your story. You know, we mean no harm. We just want to. With that having been said, so is anyone here that wants to communicate with us? You can play with this box right here, or play with the temperature.
On the way up here, Melissa Peel and I were talking, and we ran into a very sweet aroma on the stairwell, which is right over here. We're wondering, knowing that this used to be an old tobacco warehouse, there have been several times that we have run across the smell of tobacco before. Tobacco can range, you know, it can have this this classic leafy tobacco smell, and sometimes it can be very sweet. We just ran into that down there, and I wish we had a camera with us, but do you have anything to do with that by chance? There is somebody here. Well, that lit right up to red. Is everything cool over there? There's no, like, interference or anything? Cool, all right, well, this went straight up to red. So we were talking about the different types of aromas that are around here, probably having to do with tobacco. Again, this is a giant space that we use to process and dry and hold tobacco. And again, we ran into several different smells. We have experienced these more tobacco-like smells further away. Not so much over in this area. We did just have them down here. Is that something that you're able to? This sounds weird. Is that something you're able to bring into this area so that Scott and I could smell tobacco?
You mentioned earlier that the cafe area downstairs where they just left was a safer area for you. So was it still like a more tumultuous area for you, just a busier area? Is that why you aren't as interested in coming here? And just to give you guys a heads up, it dropped down to 72.9 again, and it's still bouncing between that and then like 70.
Yeah, this is a very high traffic area, and we're not actually sure what types of machines were in this area or what was in this area, if this was used for drying. David McKinney might actually know more about that than I do. He's very good with the history of this area. Not sure what was in this part and this level of the Reed building, but if there was anybody in this area, a worker perhaps, or somebody who wore a fedora, or somebody who just walked around, please feel free to come over here. You have nothing but friendly people over here. And earlier on, this little guy lit up quite nicely. We're not totally sure why. If anybody could replicate that or give that another go, I think we'd love to see that happen. And again, anytime we're messing with playing with this subject, it's all just theory. There's nothing that is that we can point to that says this is definitely a sign of something outside of this world that we're in. K2 meters and millimeters are just things that we know what they do and what they were built to do, and when they don't operate in that capacity, that's something that we can point to that says something could be happening. And it's worked for us. These two devices have worked for us quite well in the past. Again, if you dig around on the site, whoishawning.mckinney.com, you can see a lot of these different experiences that we've had on there. This little guy was actually lighting up quite a bit last Thursday. Scott and Michelle and a couple other people were walking around the Strickland building, which is a longer building just over here, another giant part of McKinney, and there was quite a bit of experience over there. Actually, you were there. How did that come about? Was it just these same types of questions, or?
Well, we were looking for someone named Artie. Artie was the name that we called out, and we whistled. Michelle whistled a few times, and we heard steps behind us, which struck us as a little strange. And the millimeter, the K2 actually, just would flicker between like green and red. And so, kind of upon that, we use that as an opportunity to communicate and try to see like if there is anything. And so maybe if Artie is around, this could be a good time. Artie, if you want to come out and play again, you know, we're open to that as well. Or if you just want to make this K2, like red, that'd be awesome.
No, that was. I thought that was a guys at base camp. Was that a?
Nobody's playing with walkies or anything up here. That frightens us whenever it happens.
That was pretty cool.
Can you confirm, hold on, guys. Can you confirm where that loud beep came from?
No. We were saying if Artie was around, this would be a good time for Artie to come and play. Maybe if Artie was interested. And just to kind of give you guys an update on what we've been here, we heard a beep, and we're not quite sure where it came from. In base camp.
Hey, guys at base camp, can somebody just talk over a walkie real quick?
I'm through next year.
You doing it right now? Yeah. Can you turn on the base camp mic so everybody else can hear?
We're here, guys. Can you hear us?
Yeah, our mic's on. Our mic's on.
Cool. All right. Well, this just lit up. I heard that too. There was like a beep. Right. There was a beep. We heard a beep or a sound or something. And this guy just lit up. You were talking about Artie. Earlier on, you said that you and Michelle were hanging out over there, and Michelle was whistling. What tune was Michelle whistling?
Ring Around the Rosie is one of them. Ring Around the Rosie always got a consistent response. I can't whistle, unfortunately. No. But if you can whistle Ring Around the Rosie, that may or may not. It was a response.
I can give it a go. Well, that was terrible, but it was in good spirit. Was any type of whistling set it off, or was it songs?
It was songs. We did kind of children's songs. Old songs.
Old songs. I know one old song. This is an old tune that was a big hit back then. It's called "Shaving a Haircut." I think I'm going to give it another go here just to see what happens. I'm going to do the first part of this, and let me know if anybody around here can wrap up the second half. Again, the first part is "Shaving a Haircut." The last part is 2 bits, so it's just 1, 2. Let's see. Let's give it a go. See what happens. Nothing. I think it's because I didn't do it loud enough. I want to try it again. I want to do the first part. Let me know if anybody can wrap up the second part. We had great luck with this a couple nights ago, down in the cafe over near the retouching office. We're going to give it another try. Good and loud. No dice. I'm striking out left and right with that. It is 72.4 degrees, though, so the motor dropped a little bit. I'm not sure. Scott had some good experiences using the word Artie. I'm actually not sure where that word came from. Actually, do you know?
Artie, as far as I remember, is thought to be a younger, someone who's younger that was here, which is kind of why we went for nursery rhymes and songs that like may or may not include younger people. And so, if there is an Artie around, we would love to like play with Artie. You know, last time we had a ball that we asked Artie to move. So if you'd be interested in doing that as well, I'm sure we could find one. That's my shovel. But we really kind of just want to use the opportunity to communicate with Artie, or with anyone who may or may not be here. And again, we would ask you to push the K2 to red, or you can drop the temperature. Just any form of interaction would be awesome. And kind of to give you all an update, temperature now has gone back up to 73.1. Though it's been fluctuating a little bit. I think the lowest so far has been 72.4.
Which is not out of this world. It's a big space, and it can move around a little bit here and there. If anything was here and it wanted to make a noise or a rap or something. Oh, nice. There's a little bit of sound coming from over here. However, between the Reed and Strickland buildings at McKinney, there's a long exposed elevator shaft, and there's a light bridge that goes over that, and sometimes sounds can rise up through that and echo through these halls. But I think at this point, we're actually going to turn it back over to Melissa Peel once she is in location. Until then, though, I think we may be able to turn it over to, is it David McClay or David Sloan, perhaps?
Yeah. Hey, Jordan. Thanks. So what we're going to try and do right now with our great Google Plus technology is just actually go ahead and watch and stream that video through YouTube. This is in our Hangout. So we are going to just find that video real quick of Scott and Michelle's investigation. So just give us 1 second to pull that up. And we'll be able to show it to everybody who hasn't seen it. Okay. And here we go.
So we are getting a few readings on the K2.
You are. I'll come back to you. Where are you right now? Stand by just 1 second as we pull that up for you. We just added this one today. It's from our most recent investigation. So it's possible that it has not been added to our playlist yet. But we are going to revisit the shave and the haircut because it's probably the most impressive thing that we've seen so far.
can't see you.
All right, so that was just what we had been
All right,
talking
hi,
about, the
everybody.
shaving, the haircut.
So I know we were just talking about some interesting stuff that we had our last session right here in this area. Now what Melissa and I are going to do is we're going to start here. She'd like to ask a few questions to try to contact the same entity that Jordan and Scott perhaps interacted with kind of effectively a few minutes ago. So she'd like to try to contact that entity and ask some specific questions she has in mind based on some impressions she's gotten. So we're going to start that now. And then after a few minutes of that here, we're actually going to move around the building. So we're going to take these mobile cameras and we're going to walk around this space and this side of Reed building and go to a few spots where some stories have come from. So I'm going to let Melissa get started.
I'll let you kind of keep track of the temperature here.
Okay.
So the temperature will sometimes fluctuate, and while we were transitioning into something else, one of the workers here asked a really good question, which was, are these spirits, more attached to some people than others? And my answer to that is yes, they can be. They don't have to be. But the easiest way to explain that is everybody carries a vibration, which means that that's the way that they just carry themselves. It's kind of like anything in life. Sometimes we really feel drawn to certain people or not. Spirit vibrates up here like this. The average person, when we're busy, vibrates down here like this. Sometimes people are intuitive and they don't know it. Sometimes they're just more, don't have as many things weighing them down. So in other words, their vibration is closer here, making it easier for spirit to connect with them. If that's the case, indeed, spirits will come to certain people more so than others. So if that ever happens to be the case, if you find yourself being, part of, what do I want to say? If you ever find yourself being one that feels those kinds of things a little bit more than the average person, chances are it's because your vibration is closer to the one that spirit can communicate with, and that would be the reason why.
I'd like to point out, I don't know if you guys can see the temperature on the millimeter, but it has dropped over a degree since Melissa started speaking just now.
And what had it been on?
It was 74, the high 74, now it's 73.3, 73.2, continuing to go down.
So, all right, so because there's a temperature change in here, is there a spirit with us? If so, set off the EVP. If there's anyone that would like their presence to be known, let us see it. All right. So because there had been a spirit here before, if you can come back here, please let us know when you're with us. I want to ask, is this person who set this off before, was this someone new, or was this, I want to try to see if this is someone new outside of Walter. Is this Walter? Okay, what's the temperature doing?
It's gone back up a couple tenths of a degree. It looks like maybe it's climbing a bit right now.
Okay. All right,
still,
so we're just
still in
gonna,
the 73 range.
So we'll let this stay here, and I'm just gonna see if anything. Oh, did it start to go?
No, I thought you wanted it to stay there.
Oh no, you can hold it, but I'm just saying, just kind of keep it there. And if there is a spirit that would like to show itself with playing with electronics, we can go ahead and do so. I'm just going to try and jump in to see if there's anything, any more spiritual activity that would like to come forth to me to deliver any messages around who it is, what it would like to be telling us about. Well, actually, the first thing that comes through, I want to piggyback on because when we were transitioning, I just want to give some background before I jump into what I was just getting. When Jordan and I were leaving the cafe and we were on our way back up here, we smelled what's some sort of odor again as we were leaving the cafe, the same one that we found when we were originally entering. Then we kind of went through this other room and then kind of came up this main stairwell. In that main stairwell, it was very clearly the smell of like a pipe kind of tobacco. It was very sweet in nature. And what I did not mention, which is important to mention apparently, when Walter was giving me the image about him overhearing the conversation amongst these other two men, there was clearly, these two men were sort of executive types also like Walter had been. When I saw that, it was sort of similar to kind of the command center where everybody else here is. Sometimes Spirit will show me things that I can relate to physically, kind of like we can really see, hey, this is the executive place. I was seeing this in my vision here, these two men were in that executive suite of sorts having a meeting where Walter overheard. Basically, it correlates with the stairwell that we have here today. I don't know what it would have looked like then. That was not shown to me. But it would make sense that this sweet-smelling tobacco was coming from that area. And back in that day, it reminded me of these people who had this more posh kind of job would have been enjoying their product, enjoying their tobacco, and therefore, as we walk up the stairs to this almost executive suite, we're going to smell that same kind of smell. It feels to me like they're trying to coordinate what was with what is to give us that that sense. Does that make sense to you?
So does that mean that those were in that same location, or they're just trying to?
They're just trying to relate it. I don't know if it was exactly in that spot or not. But the point being that, hey, we were all in this special room of some kind as well. Okay?
Question?
Yes, question. Go ahead. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
hey, we just got, actually, it's really interesting that you're talking about the stairs because we just got an email that somebody just sent us about those very stairs. I'm going to put it up on screen really quick. She said, hey McKinney, so awesome you guys are doing this project. I'm really enjoying the live feed. It was around 2 a.m. when another coworker and I were about to head home after a late night in the office. We had called security to walk us to the parking garage and we were packing our bags. And we heard footsteps go down the main metal stairs to the first floor. It was someone in heels, and we rushed down to see who it may have been. No one was there. The security guard was just walking in the main entrance, and when we reached the bottom of the stairs, we asked him if he saw anyone come down the stairs before us. He saw no one. Any way we can figure out who that might have been?
We can ask. That's all we can do.
So they heard high heels, is that right?
Yeah, they heard heels of some
Heels.
kind.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, why don't we just jump in? I want to just see if there's any information around who was wearing heels that night in the stairwell when coworkers were able to hear it as they were working late trying to leave. In this particular scene, I actually feel like it's a woman. And I'm laughing a little bit because I feel like she herself is trying to be sneaky. I want to ask why she feels the need to be sneaky. She gives me this look on her face like, oh, I've been caught. So I'm going to ask her, was she doing something that she should not have been? She sits there and shakes her head yes. So I want to ask, who is she? Is she an employee of that company? No. Okay. Tell me more about your intent. So she tells me a little bit that she was seeking prominence. When somebody is, in this particular scene, it's like, here's this woman, she didn't necessarily have her needs met, whatever that might mean. I'm going to ask her more about that. It feels to me like she was in a position where, like I say, her needs, like her mental needs weren't being met, almost like she was lonely. So I'm going to ask more about that. Was she in this office to see someone, to meet those needs? That's what it feels like to me because she's sneaking around. She shakes her head yes. Okay. Tell me more about who she was here to see. This literally feels like she was maybe, I want to call it wrongfully involved with someone who was here. Maybe like a little cheating scandal going on. And literally it's that, I want to call it the walk of shame, where she's trying to leave and exit, but she's not doing a good job.
Can she give us any indication as to how long ago this might have been? Is this
Let's ask.
recent past?
So the question just was, how long ago did this occur? I'm going to start off, was this 10 years ago, 20 years ago, and so forth? So 10 years ago, no. 20 years ago, no. 30 years ago, no. 40 years ago, no. 50 years ago, getting warmer. 60, 70, starting to raise like this. About 80 years ago, getting better. About 90 years ago. Okay, I'm going to back up. Is this 81 years ago? 82? 83? 84? 85? I'm now seeing plus or minus 86. That's what I'm looking at here.
So the 1920s?
Right here, I don't know math.
So plus or minus 86 years. I'll let you guys do the calculating.
I can do that. I mean, my phone can do that.
Okay.
I just want to give people at home time to catch up with my math skills. Which I obviously know the answer was 1927.
1927. All right. So tell me more about what was going on in 1927. Who was this person that she was trying to sneak around with? Okay. I do want to say it feels like the executive office because, again, the stairway plays into effects, and here she is trying to come down. I want to ask her, was she involved with the man who looked like he was of utmost standing but was having this meeting that this Walter overheard? Was she involved with that man? I don't know his name. Yes. Okay. Why did she feel the need to sneak around? Why was she doing this here? Whoever this man is, he made her feel very protected. And so therefore she would sneak around and come through for him because this was a place where it was like her dirty secrets could be kept behind doors that weren't hers. So she felt like it was almost her way to kind of deny it or escape from her own. Like if she was doing this in her own house, that would not be okay. But if she was doing this outside of it, this was her way to kind of excuse her actions. And again, this man had protection, sort of, that made her feel safe, made her feel like it was okay to be doing this. Okay, what other questions should we be asking her?
I think the 1920s was right as ATC was coming up. David McClay could probably jump in here at any point. I think the Strickland building was added later, and the Reed building was one of the earlier buildings, which we are in Reed right now.
Reed was 1902.
Reed was 1902. There you go.
Do you want to maybe now start walking around and see what other you feel good about that?
Yeah.
Connecting with who you're speaking to now?
Why don't I just see if I can get a name from her,
Great.
or if there's any other information around who she is before we move around. And I'll ask her if there's any specific locations that might be useful to understand more about her and what she was doing or the people she was associated with. We'll go there. So if there's a name associated with this being that I'm connected to, go ahead and show me. I'm just kind of going through my head in the alphabet because nothing just popped up for me, so I'm seeing A, B, C, D, E, F, and whenever it stops is kind of how I'm going to do this. I'm seeing an L. The name Linda seems to pop through for me. I want to see if there's anything more about that name. The best way I can describe her, she feels like a small, petite woman. She feels slim. She's attractive, but she doesn't... I can tell you that she struggles with herself. She herself didn't feel attractive because, again, she was not having all of her needs met at home. And this is also part of the reason her motivation is to coming here and doing this. Didn't have much self-confidence, kind of shaky as a person, and this is where that feeling caught comes into play. I want to ask her specifically, is there anywhere that we should travel to give us more information around her situation or anything that would help us understand who is haunting McKinney? I do want to travel up to the executive suites in this general area and see what happens to come here. I think we should still bring these things with us.
We're going to be walking over here to the other side of the Reed building, which is actually one of the areas that we smelled very strong tobacco odor one night. Kind of out of the blue. It was just us here. Nobody was around. It's like you walked into a wall. So this way. This is our CEO, Frank Director's office.
Okay.
Actually, this was the area that was still right here.
So I want to definitely come here, and then I want to go to the stairs where we smelled it before, the sweetness. All right. All right. So I'll just call this location 3, executive suites. All right. So Linda, if you're here with us, go ahead and show us your presence. If you can make a noise of any kind, whether it's tapping, whether it's playing with electronics, if there's any kind of feelings you can provide to me, let me know that you're here. Okay, so what I'm taking a look at is, again, I feel like someone's sneaking around. I want you guys to be paying attention for shadow figures. And then when you do look, it's almost like things are still. Because, again, she's doing this sneaking around. I'm just going to ask her the question because this keeps kind of nagging at me. Is she the wife of Walter? I feel like she has this connection because, again, she's not the kind of person who's sitting here with her voice saying anything. She just keeps shaking her head like she's the guilty party. So I'm feeling like she is. So she's the wife of Walter, and this is what this is about, why she's feeling ashamed. All right. Is this general area where you would do your things? So she just continues to show me sneaking around. Was it in these executive suites? What I'm taking a look at is, feels to me like there's a room within a room. And I'm not trying to say that you have that here today, but back then I feel like there was a room of some kind. Let's say it had windows on it and so forth, maybe a doorway to enter in, but there also feels to me like maybe there was a closet or something like this This where is where I'm just going to write shh, because that feels to me kind of where she would have needed to be.
Now, would that have been on this level?
Okay, let's ask. Okay, I feel like the answer to that is yes, primarily because we heard those footsteps going down and that was her way. I want to ask her a little bit more around like when she would come, because clearly this needed to be hush hush. This feels to me like a transition time, almost like she would come at a point in time where people would be leaving, and she would be able to sneak up. Again, this man who she was trying to see, he had money, he made her feel safe. I feel like he gave her a disguise of some sort. I want to say made her dress up, made her be, you know, something to kind of to hide who she really was. And that would make sense to me that she would be able to get in, but it would be on the way out that she would try to be real quiet. Yeah.
We do have one area that comes to mind that is kind of similar to that.
Okay.
That little thing that you drew there.
Yes.
It is our retouching studio, which is actually part of the one of our next stops later on.
Okay.
We could hit that then, or if you're drawn to it, we could hit it now.
Let me just see if there's anything else here
Okay.
before we transition there. Okay, I think it is time, but here we go. She says in this disguise that she was able to have, she would come in, meet that person in their office, walk down the hall to wherever this was, and that was their excuse to be in there, because she was posing as an executive, also meeting them of some sort, doing business, whatever, and that was the reason that they were able to get there. So I think that's pretty much what the point of her bringing me here was that, yeah, this is where she would come to get started. Hey, I'm here. Oh, now let's do our business.
Yeah.
Let's go to this wherever this place was. So that's what I'm looking at as the purpose here.
Well, that is one area that is just over here. We have a whole other side of the building as well that I think we have another team that's about ready or getting ready to explore that area. Is this something you feel like we could wait 20 minutes and then go explore, or is it something you feel like we need to do now?
No, we could do that later. That's fine.
All right. I think at that point we would need to transition to the third team. And do we know if they're in place yet?
I'll go walk with them, get them going to the next
Moving
place.
there now.
They're moving there now. Should we meet up with them? Okay.
Just walk down and go to the area.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that would be good.
So are we going to go to the staircase in the middle? Is that okay?
The staircase is actually right over here. Right there. So do you want to start there next time?
Well, while they're setting up, we can go down there and stop down there for a few minutes.
Okay. Yeah.
We'll stop down there for 2 minutes while they actually discuss the next few.
Ping pong, right?
Just follow down.
So we just added one more camera to the mix. This is going to be Joe Levinsky with an iPhone camera. So we're going to be keeping track of that as well.
We just call this actually another staircase. It's a thing.
Hey, guys.
While Joe is getting set up, I will tell you just a little piece of information that Melissa did not know. This is David in the control room. is that there was actually a factory floor office about 15 feet from where she was standing in the last known floor plans that we saw when American Tobacco moved out of the building. But that's not something we had put on the site or shown to Melissa. It is also interesting to note that would have been the only closed-in office space in the entire or on the entire third floor, I should say. So we're gonna go over to Joe, who's getting set up, and see what he has to say.
Yes.
Okay, ready?
We're good? Yep. So we're just going to take a few quick minutes here back at the stairwell. This is a giant metal staircase that wraps around our brand towers. We have 3 of them, 3 stories of them that go through from the bottom to the top of McKinney and Reed building. And Melissa wanted to come back here because on our way back from our first session, we both caught this very sweet aroma in the air. It smelled like sweet tobacco smoke. And so here we are.
So I wanted to come back here because I wanted to see if this has any kind of connection to the executives or any information that we can get about those who would have had that sweet smelling that would have produced that. So that's what we're trying to take a look at here. So what I am taking a look at, the feeling of relaxation, pure relaxation comes in. And clearly this is also a place where people, when they were stressed, those that had the higher up positions would be able to come back to and be able to smoke and be able to just relax. So I'm going to try and tune back into the situation with this woman who feels like it was Walter's wife. Does she have anything to do with this? Simply because this is where one of the other McKinney employees heard the footsteps, and we smelled this sweet smoke associated with those executives. If there's any more information about that. Well, this is interesting. Another thing that just came through is I feel like when these executives wanted to give that signal for other people to leave them alone, this is why they would smoke. Is because the smell would give the indicator, stay away, I'm busy.
So it's like a sock off door
yes.
deal.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So tell us more about that. Was this for anybody to use this signal, or was this just for special people? This was a secret code. I want to ask, was this something that Walter overheard? Because if that was some source of contention, maybe that's what he overheard. I don't know. I don't know that he heard that, because we were talking before about embezzling money and something dishonest. This doesn't feel like that. But again, whatever he did hear, like I say, shocks him, because I see that look on the face. I want to just make sure you're watching that to see if anybody's given us any indication. Because I got that quick image of Walter again, so I want to bring him back in. I want to ask him if he can give me any sort of indication.
Is it only that sweet smell tobacco that is the...
That was the real indicator?
Yeah.
Good question. Here's the thing, yes, because I feel like there were two types of, we did smell two types of tobacco. The sweet feels more like this is the premium, this is for those executives. The other smell, not so much, but this is for anyone to enjoy. It's like there's two different classes, if you will, of tobacco. Yeah. Okay. So then the next thing that came through was, because obviously this smell lingers for quite a while, I'm looking at when Walter gets with his wife. This is where I feel like how he finds out about this affair, because he smells the sweetness on her.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So that's a big one. Okay, show me more about this. She says nothing. She's really not much of a talker when he tries to accuse her. They're at odds. He goes off the handle. He's got quite the temper because this is Mr. Laid-back, cool, sly as a fox. But he doesn't handle that well. So I'm trying to get to the meat as to what happens next. He's just beside himself. I feel like he doesn't have anywhere to go, anyone to talk to. Jumping forward, what happens to her? What happens to him? I just see him pacing back and forth. I want to ask the question, is that something that he does here? Go ahead, did you have a question?
Well, I was going to wonder, is now a good time to switch over to our third team and come back to this in about 20 minutes?
Sure, we can do that. I'm still gonna go forward just to see if I get anything else, but we will definitely revisit. So yeah, this is fine.
Okay, we are live here over in Strickland with Scott and Michelle.
So we should probably note that as we were setting up, we had a couple hits on the K2, and also last time we were over here, we tried to communicate with anyone in the area, and we had a lot of success. And I think we probably spoke with younger child spirits, and we were hoping to replicate that again. And so we have a couple of toys with us. We have baseball. An inflatable ball, and we're going to maybe sing or whistle some songs and see if we can engage any spirits that might be with us.
And so while we're rolling the baseball, if you want to interact with the inflatable ball, make that move for us. That's also cool. So Artie, we've met you before, and we just kind of want to come back and play. And we mean no harm, obviously. It's just an opportunity for us to try. All right. So with that being said, we're going to start rolling the ball. And if you want to stop the ball, make it like change directions, it's kind of what we want to see. Also, feel free to interact with the K2. Last time we were here, we also heard footsteps. So already, if you were running from the back, that would be cool. So another thing that really kind of like seemed to pique your interest was when we whistle. So if you want us to whistle again, let us know. We can leave this baseball here as well. And Michelle is the pro whistler. So Michelle is the better whistler. So we're going to put this ball here.
And if you like what we're doing, or if you want us to do more, if you want me to whistle more, if you want Scott to do something, please feel free to interact with any of these items we have here. Make a noise, anything you can do to let us know if you're with us. So I was going to come whistle. I don't know if I can tell you.
I don't know how loud you are.
Okay. So the first thing I'm going to whistle is a nursery rhyme. I'm going to whistle Mary Had a Little Lamb. can try other nursery rhymes too. If you like any of them, please give us some sort of sign that you're with us. We would love to play with you, to engage with you. So.
And just in case the viewer audience had any kind of questions or concerns, some ice machine just turned on. So I just want to make sure that we are making this as earnest as possible.
So I'm gonna sing "Ring Around the Rosie" and see maybe a little more relevant. Maybe you know that one. Okay. I can just say one. Twinkle, twinkle.
Okay.
It doesn't seem like we're getting much response yet. Maybe we can play up the ball more.
And we can ask you a few questions as well already. And maybe, hopefully, these questions will kind of incite you to come over and play with us. So Artie, one big question I have for you is, are you here? If you're here, just come play with the K2 or move this ball. Are you comfortable in the McKinney space? When this was a tobacco space, were you more comfortable here? It's an area that you felt comfortable. I know during one of the earlier sessions with Melissa, there was the Lowers Cafe area was that I considered a safer place to hide. So are you this a place for you? Are you a boy or a girl? We never really clarified.
We heard of a Nat or an Artie, both of which go either way. So if there's any, if you're a girl or if you're a boy, we'd love to know. So maybe we can play games that you would like, or try to engage you in things you would like more.
We also heard of Linda. So when we're walking here, we kind of heard footsteps. We thought it was Stevie, an employee here. She wears heels a lot. So if that was Linda, I know Linda, if she may wear heels. If you're here, we're also here for you. I'm here to engage with you. Michelle's a girl, so she may understand you a little bit better on that front.
I'd love to know if you're afraid to be here, if you don't want to be here, and if you feel uncomfortable or afraid being in this space. We would love to know, maybe contact you and see what we can do to make you feel more comfortable.
And kind of on that same line, we want you to know that we are safe. We are really here just to kind of play with you and really interact with you, not for any amount of
This ball looks kind of scary, but if you'd like to play with it with us, it's a soccer ball, so you might be more easily able to move it. So we can roll this back and forth, we can toss it back and forth, any sign. Please give us any sign if you're in the area or if you want to talk to us. I know there are a lot of people here, but nobody here is trying to hurt you. We're just trying to talk to you, trying to get an idea of who's sharing this, play with this here.
And even though it may look a little bit more scary, I promise you it's safer than the baseball. And again, if you don't want to necessarily play with the balls, we also have the K2 here, so if you want to spike that and just kind of show us that you're here.
Please don't be afraid to give us any sign that you're here. I know you may think there are a lot of people watching, that we're trying to engage with you for not great reasons, but we'd love to just know if you're here. Just any sign that you may be with us tonight, like we think you were last week. We would love to speak with you again. We'd really appreciate it.
And so again, another big thing last time was really the whistling. So maybe we want to try that one more time, and just to kind of see if you're here.
Yeah, I'm gonna move closer to the camera, so maybe can't whistle that loud. But I'm gonna try. What is
Right around the rosy. Give us a little star.
Okay, I'll do ring around the rosy again. To be too much of a response to that.
So another question is, are you afraid? Maybe since there are a little bit more people in the audience, maybe you're scared. And kind of like, if you want to play the game too, and like let us know that. You know. Another question is, do you like this area? Do you like this space? We're gonna try to roll the ball.
Again, I think I'd like to note that we did once when we were first here. We were getting pretty high hits on the K2, so it could be you might be dealing with this a little camera shy, or maybe knows that or is afraid or knows that he or she is being watched. So I'd like to point that out. But so there was something present before. We may have scared him or her off. But maybe we can. We also provided a flashlight, and you can use this to take any energy you might want to make a sound, to move a ball, to get a hit on the K2 meter, anything you may need to show us that you're here. You can use the energy from this battery. You can use the gray box. Any sign that you're here with us. Anything you can use to help you.
And just to clarify, the flashlight has no effect on the K2, so we just want to make sure that that's all very, very clear. And if you want to take the energy from the battery, make it fall. Again, we have 2 balls here, so we'll play with one of the balls. That'd be awesome. And also want to know that the ice machine just stopped. So we're going to roll the ball a few more times. And maybe if you would stop the ball and we roll, that would be cool.
I'm going to roll. We're going to lightly roll the ball, and if you have the energy to stop it, that may have been scalping.
That's me.
That may have been scalping week. Also with the baseball, please feel free to use the battery from the flashlight, any source of energy.
Power, so and on me. Oh, there's supposed to be one back there.
I think that we are going to try to thank anyone who is here with us in this area. If you need any harm, thank you for participating with us. I think that we're going to move over down towards Reed in the women's bathroom area, and we're going to try to see if there's anyone we can communicate with there.
And thanks again for
Thank you again.
So we're in the women's bathroom area. Just kind of, we've heard about some weird things happening here, so we just want to get a better feel for it, check it out. So again, this is Scott. Michelle's holding the camera, and so I'm kind of show you Michelle, and she'll lead us in since I've never ventured into the women's restroom.
And we are blowing up on the K2 right now. Oh no, did you see? Mm-hmm. Okay, well we were just, this was just going up to Brett. We may have, Spirit may have been here, we may have scared him or her, hopefully her, we're in the women's bathroom. But I think we may have scared her off, but the minute we walked in, and I think we managed to catch a little bit of it, this went all the way up to red. So I think we've had activity here in the past, and so I think that this is the best place to go. Maybe the K2, maybe the Spirit knows it's Scott's here. But maybe we can, and I just got another, we're getting more on this. I don't know if you can see it on either camera. I think I'm gonna set this down, and we're getting a few more. Here we go. I keep getting a few more clicks on it. Okay. So maybe we can invite the Spirit to come back with us. I know that you keep coming in and out, but we're in a safe space right now. It's just the three of us, and we'd really love to communicate with you, know what you're doing here, if this is the best place to find you. We instantly had reads on our K2 meter, so you must have been using that to communicate with us. So if you are in this room still, please give us some sort of sign. Please let us know if you're here.
They want you to put the K2 meter in your hand if you don't mind.
Okay. So I'm holding the K2 meter, and if you are in this room, please give us some sort of sign, any sort of noise, any sign that you're still in here with us. We just got a really big read on it, and we would love to know if you're still here. And if this is a place you go to be alone, or you spend a lot of time in here, any sign that you're still here, please let us know. There's only three of us, so this is a safe space. It's just me, Scott, and Kylie, and we would love to know if you're here, or please give us any sign. And thank you for communicating with us in the first place. You gave us some really great hits, and so we know that we're not alone.
And this is maybe Artie. This is a quieter area. So there are a few other people on the other side. So maybe if you want to come play with us here, this might be a safer area. And we're seeing a few hits, so maybe it is Artie. All right. So if it's Artie, are you scared? Were you scared? Were there too many people in the last area? And again, we're getting hits, kind of going to yellow. So is this a better area for you? Is this a safer area, Artie? Maybe Michelle wants to try to whistle one more time here.
Okay, I can try in here. Artie, I'm going to whistle for you if this is you. It seems like maybe you enjoyed that last time, so I'm going to whistle Mary Had a Little Lamb, and hopefully it doesn't echo. I whistled too much.
I don't know if you guys can hear it, but we're getting a lot of hits in here on the K2.
Still, I think that we may have, like,
Excuse you, can you say that again?
I think that we may be.
We'd like to ask if that is Walter's wife in the bathroom. If Michelle can ask that out loud, please.
Michelle, they would like to know if this is Walter's wife in the bathroom with us, if she passed away in here.
Is this Walter's wife in the bathroom with us?
This is a child.
Is this a child? Are you a girl? Do you know Walter?
Your dad?
Is he your dad? Is he your husband?
So the names that we had come up a lot were Artie. Who's Artie? Another name we heard a lot was Linda. And then Nat was the name we heard. Maybe short for Natalie.
They're female.
Are you female? Why do you like the bathroom? Why are you communicating with us only in the bathroom?
We're going to close it out unless you have any other questions.
I think that we are going to leave you here in the bathroom and let you have your space again, but we really appreciate you communicating with us. Thank you so much for contacting us, and we're still getting reads on this.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, and we hope that we hear from you again.
And we're going to ask that you don't follow us outside of the bathroom. So this is your space, and we came to visit you, but we don't want you to come with us. But thank you so much for engaging with us.
Thank you.
Okay, so while we were back on the staircase, I continued to just get more information because I was really on a roll with what I was getting. So just to kind of recap a little bit, so when we left off, there was very distinct smells of the different types of tobacco. Mm-hmm. The sweet-smelling stuff was specifically used for the executives. The other smell that Jordan and I had come to was more like the everyday use type stuff. And we had discovered that Walter's wife had been involved with one of the executives, and basically how Walter found out was because he had smelled on her hair, on her clothes, one evening that it was that sweet tobacco. And this was the dead giveaway that she had been having an affair with this executive. As a result of her silence, the silence was golden. She didn't necessarily answer him, but she didn't have to, and he discovered it. I was being shown an image that kind of looks like this. I'm not sure if you can see that very well. This here is kind of symbolic of Walter pacing back and forth, really having quite, not really sure what to do. And again, the next scene that I jumped forward into was how, remembering that Walter felt sly, he felt confident, he was all about money, though his wife clearly wasn't having her needs met. He felt very showed up by the executive, and his masculinity went boom. I was being shown the image of a volcano starting to build, which is usually the symbol that my spirits show me so that I understand that indeed tension was rising, and basically it just wanted to explode if it wasn't going to be expressed. At that point in time, when the pressure was increasing, as I was perceiving that, my physical body temperature went up. And when my body temperature goes up, it's because I'm feeling the spiritual activity significantly increase with that. From that point, I continued to see restlessness from Walter. He got no sleep and he started to become delusional. I do not feel like he was at his home that night. I felt him walking the streets. He was wandering. It was in the cold. He was alone. And as one starts to become delusional, their thoughts start to turn negative. Next thing I saw was a shaky hand like this. And I continued to go forward with that to find that he actually had a gun. And I asked about how did he find this gun. Well, it all turned into, because he had a temper, he found a place, and again, because he was this prominent man that had his connections through wherever it was that he was doing for his job, he went to someone that he knew that would have a gun. He bullied someone to give him that, and the next scene that came forth was back to this shakiness in his hand with the gun. He was facing the executive in the daytime, who was the one who, oh, sorry, you scared me. And basically, he came back to face the executive in the daytime. Feelings of inadequacy, feeling defeated. There was very clear, like I say, tension mounting and so forth. I saw him standing like this.
This is the highest readings we've ever gotten on the K2 as we talk about inadequacy and defeatedness.
And I should not pick it up, but basically this is going very orange and red. Can you guys see that?
We
Yes,
could
you
see it
can.
before.
All right.
It was. Is it still? Is it
Yep,
Yeah,
it's still doing it.
And not to interrupt, but this is a plexiglass table.
Yeah, let's put it back on.
Okay.
How's that?
That's working.
Is that working
Yeah.
for you? All right. So I want to kind of take a look at that too as we keep talking. All right. So basically, he was pointing his shaky hand with a gun in it toward the executive, and that's when I feel like he was going over and over in his head, going, "I'm inadequate. I'm not winning this. If I can't have her because I was not man enough to be able to keep her, she can have him." And then I felt like he turned the gun on him and he killed himself. To make note of that, that was right outside the executive suite as well. Did you have anything else to add?
No, that's a pretty good summation.
So as we kind of transitioned back over here, we're now in the area where most of the work happens, where a lot of the spiritual activity happens. We came over to this section where in my drawing I drew that there was a window and a doorway that felt like it was a special closet or something, or this is where the affair would have happened anyway. When we were trying to get set up, I did walk in, and the crew in here, I was all of a sudden like, whew, this feels really heavy. I could really sense the heaviness of the energy. It didn't feel very good. Kind of felt claustrophobic to me as well. So that's kind of where we're at this point in time.
Would you like to hang out in there for a little bit?
Sure. Actually, I think what I want to do is start bringing some more questions here, though,
Sure.
if you guys have more questions, while we've got Walter.
We have the printout.
I don't.
Did someone bring the printout of the questions we've gotten from the website in the past?
Okay, Walter, are you there? Keep going. Sorry.
We do have some questions we've gotten tonight, and here is one. But this is from Erica Hillauer. She is asking, Melissa, I'd love to know if Walter and the woman you're connecting with now communicate with each other as spirits, especially since it's possible they might have known each other while they were both alive. I wouldn't be surprised if they ever team up to make themselves known at the same time. So if you guys couldn't hear me, this is a question to ask if Walter and the woman that she was communicating, this question came while we were in another part of the building, communicate with each other now as spirits since they knew each other while they were alive. This woman is wondering, do they team up together to make themselves known together now?
Okay, the answer to that is absolutely yes, because if people have died and they have unfinished business, they're still going to be connected, especially in the place where the business did not get finished. But also, no matter who's in our life, they're always kind of connected through a spider web of sorts, and whether one person is still living and the other one's dead, they're still going to be able to come back and visit, which is why we have spiritual phenomenon from time to time, and people can come back from the other side to us. Okay. So yes, in short.
All right. Another question comes from Jordan Clayton. He'd like to know, is there anything we can... This is from Jordan Clayton. Is there anything we can do to help the ghost, to free them from the building?
Right. I want to get there shortly.
Okay.
Anything else?
This question says, ask Walter about Lalamoa. So I maybe want to give background to that to the people watching.
Sure.
If you were to read through the Ouija board transcripts that we have, some people in the past that have done that here have connected with someone who named themselves Lalamoa, Lalamoa. When they asked for a name, that was the name they were given. They assumed that was gibberish, but it was spelled several times, but they just thought that the connection wasn't strong and they weren't getting anything. But when they looked that up, it is from a language from the Solomon Islands, and it means a victim of violence, and it means, or it can mean to pay for a victim of violence. So that was in the transcripts that are on the site in the top right corner of the map. It's also mentioned in Wade and Suzanne's story, which is one of the testimonials that we have on the site. And now this question is to ask Walter about Lalamoa.
All right. I'm sorry to interrupt for a second before I even get to that. I just started to get more information around how the suicide happened outside of this area where the executive office was, where this affair took place. I was being shown the image of where clearly the gun in an instant was turned to Walter, and when I saw that, clearly this looks bad, and all of a sudden now the executive who was facing that self-suicide, all of a sudden now it's like, what does he do? And so I wrote in big letters here, murder. It's almost like anyone else coming to that scene would think that this man was the one that did it, and then could have put the gun down in front of Walter. So now the executive's not sure what to do, and he felt framed, and they say Walter won after all. So Walter, prove it to us, you won. Show us that that's kind of unintentionally what you were trying to do. Is that what your intent was? I'm just waiting to see if this lights up red. It's just kind of in the orange section at this point in time. Walter, do you feel like there's victory for you here? Still in the orange. Nothing red is happening at this point in time. Clearly, that's the image that I came up with, that he still finally got to be the one coming out on top. So that's what I'm looking at. Why don't we jump to the question for Walter about Lalamoa, right? So let's get more specific. What do you mean? Like, what does that mean to him? What is this?
Yeah,
what's the importance of it?
Yeah, that was the question. Was ask Walter about Lalamoa. So I suppose that's asking, what does that mean anything? Does Lalamoa mean anything to him? Does he know Lalamoa? Has he encountered Lalamoa as a spirit, another spirit here? Is that entity here?
Okay. So I'm going to ask first and foremost: does Lalamoa represent Walter in some way? No answer. Does Lalamoa represent someone else from this building? Yes. Okay. I'm just going to jump to the executive. Does that relate to this executive who felt framed? Yes, and I heard ding, ding, ding. Okay. All right. Anything more you want to ask about that?
Why Lalamoa? Why that word?
They say right away, why it's basically their code, because that's what this whole thing was about. They were all about code.
Okay.
They wanted to have the code with the different sweet tobacco. They wanted to have a code word for what went down, so that they could talk about it without talking about it. So everything was about hiding behind, closed doors, basically. Like, nothing could be discussed, even though it could be discussed. Any other questions that you want to ask?
And we have a lot of questions here from
Oh, wow.
different
Well,
users.
they're actually being answered here quite a bit. One of them was which man wears the fedora, and that's something that you hit on quite early on. Does the man with the fedora smoke? And that was something that we had talked about this with the different types of tobacco odors here. Actually, here's a question: is there a little girl in this area?
Right. And actually, you know what? I'm sorry to interrupt, but I know we had the other question. Is there a way to free him?
Oh, yeah.
Can we look at that first?
Sure.
And then we'll...
Mm-hmm.
So, Walter, we know that you are the one that ended up kind of winning this situation that you felt defeated and less than in. I want to first understand, why do you feel the need to continue to stay here, even though you still came out on top? He shows me this antsiness. He just can't let go.
Mm-hmm.
This is the energy that makes perfect sense, actually. This is the energy that was in his body at the time that he chose to kill himself. And energy cannot be created nor destroyed. And because that's what's here, that's what lingers, the unfinished business. Okay. So now that we know the energy is out there, the secrets are out, we know. Do you feel safer? Do you feel better now that the secrets are out there? Everyone knows. He goes like this.
Yeah.
It's relief. Oh, yeah. Lots and lots of energy. All right, all right. He's just totally taking it like that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, come back, come back. How's this thing doing? Did that light up red at all during this? I don't know. Okay. Now that you can be released from this energy that you've been holding in for so many years, know that you're free. Is there anything this company needs to do to free you? He makes me laugh. He says he doesn't like this area. He wants to stand guard here at all times. I'm going to reassure him there's no one that's going to use this room to hurt him or anybody else anymore. I'm telling him to trust me. I'm a being of the light. I'm a light worker. I tell him the truth. He doesn't trust many people. This is why he's always in the shadows. He's trying to calm himself down, going, I don't know if I should trust her. He goes back to pacing back and forth. He's back over here by this door. We promise that the people who work here are going to take this space, have it in integrity, and use this for its purpose. They're not here to harm anybody. They're not here to do anything to anyone. Can you trust that these people will take care of this space? And more importantly, that they are on your side? He's getting there. Okay. Is there anything further you need from us to let you know that this is a safe place? His presence is starting to slowly die down to some degree here. Meaning he's not as willing to fight with the battle anymore. He's more in a place of acceptance. We know that these other people did wrong. You were doing what you needed to do. He told us in the beginning today that he was a good man. This is what he wants to be remembered by. Now it makes sense. He was remembered as the guy who shot himself. No, I want to tell Walter real quick that, again, remembering in spirit, all these people have to deal with the consequences of their actions. Karma is coming back to them. They will deal with this. How does he want to continue to live with himself? I think that he didn't see it that way, that he was the one who finally came out on top because it looked like the other man was framed. He was too consumed with himself to see that. But now that he sees that, are you okay, Walter? Yes, I feel like this is such a shock to him that he doesn't even know how to react to that. So this is him coming into a place of acceptance here. So we talked about possibly later on going around the space and potentially clearing the space. I really feel like this room needs to have that done because of the negativity and the heaviness. All that involves is using a singing bowl, which helps recalibrate the vibration back to a neutral place instead of having it in such a high place. Okay. So that's really what I'm taking a look at there.
Okay. We may. Do you mind if we go through a few more user questions?
Sure.
And then we may have to wrap up before we do that, but then we can maybe do that after we end our time online. Jordan had a question. There's people that want to know: is there a little girl here in the Ouija board sessions? There's some that believe we may have contacted a little girl, and we want to know: is there? Do you feel that presence?
Okay, so when I ask about the little girl, I do indeed feel like there is a presence, and the best way I can describe her is when I take a look at her, she's lost. I feel like she just continuously stares. She's in search, but she's not like trying to pester anybody. So she's searching for someone, and she's in search. She's kind of lost, out of place. When I take a look at her, I almost feel like she feels to me like she goes around the stairs, either at the top of the stairs. That's kind of more where I'm feeling. So it's almost like maybe she knew something was going on, and that brings me to another question as well. Where was this little girl while her mother was sneaking off? Because clearly somehow she's related to that. So I want to look at that real quick. This girl, I do feel like she was brought in, but I feel like she was told, you sit here, you don't move from here, and that's all that there is to it. But I feel like this girl knew, and when I say that she knew about these affairs. She knew that she wasn't supposed to be there, but she was there.
The little girl?
The little girl. And I feel like she was very clearly told, do not mention this. Oh, I'm going there to help Daddy's boss kind of thing, but that was it. So she was given very minimal information, and that's why she's always left wondering, because she's the one left to basically sit around and rot until Mom comes back. So I feel like she's very lost in that. Is that a noise?
That's a Google Hangout noise.
Okay.
Should we ask about Charles?
Yeah, we actually, one of the other questions that came through, a name that popped up people wanted to ask about is Charles Nye. Last name is N-Y-E, I think. Charles Nye. Does that, does it ring a bell? Does it come across at all? Anything associated with that?
I'm going to try to bring forth Charles Nye. Any thoughts, feelings, symbols, visions? He's the one who feels like the innocent man here. When I say that, he's that executive who's trying to look like he's the upstanding one, but he's the one that's not so much.
Okay.
That's kind of what I'm picking up on here. He feels like the one who, like I say, has the face of looking like things are good, but he feels like that executive man. Huh. And then, like I say, how do I want to describe that? He has the face of truth, but yet it's all about cover-up.
Okay.
I just want to quickly see if there's anything else that I get about him real quick. It's pretty much what I'm seeing there. I'm just going to double check, make sure, is it okay if we go forward, or is there anything more they need to show me about him and his involvement with this scene? Back to the being framed, the looking like he was being framed. I feel like this caused significant controversy because he appeared this way and yet it came back in the other, like he was a murderer but he wasn't, but the real truth about what he was doing didn't come forth. And to me it just feels like it was somewhere got lost in translation or something where all the steps weren't fully uncovered. It was almost like if I had a staircase here where this was the truthful face and this was the affair. Somewhere in here is where things got lost in translation. That makes sense.
And that was here in the building?
Yeah, like I say. I mean, you're talking about the affair itself?
Yeah. All of that was taking place in and around this place.
Yes. So I do feel like there were some details that were lost in translation. Somewhere along the fact of what people perceived him to be versus what really happened. Because this whole murder-suicide and framing situation came about, I feel like things were very split and very broken, and that's where details were lost in the shuffle. Okay. Go ahead with another question.
I think last we covered most of those there.
Yeah.
Last question we just got. I think this must come from a McKinney worker here. Ask the spirits which way they prefer to get the attention of those of us living when we are there working late.
All right, so let's look for signs or symbols that McKinney employees can watch for to know when spirits are around trying to get their attention. Right away what came is like the feeling of being stared at from behind. I almost feel like as if someone's breathing down their neck. I wouldn't be surprised also if someone actually feels, I'm going to call it breath from behind. I do feel hair standing straight up. Almost like you get that creepy feeling that you can't quite shake when you know that someone's there, but you feel them, but you can't see them.
Yeah.
And this, to me, very clearly feels like, why am I blank on the name? Walter. Because Walter was that sly guy who wanted to sneak around and get in everybody's business.
Is there any physical movement that goes on around here? Like, are items ever picked up and moved?
Okay, I feel like the answer to that is yes, and I'm going to try and dig deeper as to what you should be looking for. The first thing that comes, I do feel like, again, some of this can be small, insignificant things in people's workspace because it's like, hey, hi, I'm here. And this kind of goes back to that thing that we talked about a little earlier where one of the other McKinney workers asked around, do these spirits come to anyone in specific? It's the playfulness around, hey, I'm here, and you pay attention to me and no one else does. So that's one thing, almost like on people's workspace or in their desk area. I want to go forward into what else he might move. I'm not being shown what else except for the fact that there's always the feeling that comes forth around, I want it this way, so if you have it this way, I'm going to have it this way. And again, that comes from Walter and his desire to really want to have things his way because he felt like he was out of control at the end.
Okay.
So that's really what I can describe that to be. He's not showing me anything else.
Okay.
We did talk before around electronics. We talked around cold air. We know that there's smell of smoke that comes. We know that there's tapping. What else did we discuss? Just to make the list nice and clear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, shadows.
Shadows, that's right. And then we saw movement out of the periphery. Okay. I want to see if there's anything else new, that's different, that comes forth. We know electronics. And the reason that electronics go kind of haywire sometimes is when the energy starts to get really strong, and they really want to be noticed. It's like, you better stop, and you better stop now. So that's why they're going to do such things. And then I know you earlier mentioned something about elevators. That makes sense to me, because if the spirit is messing with the elevator, he's trying to be like, hey, don't go upstairs to that executive thing.
Oh, I see. Okay.
He wants to keep people where they should be. This is his way of doing justice. Because when people go upstairs, we know what happens upstairs.
Yeah.
So that makes sense as to why that would be as well.
Well, I think that's a pretty good list of things that we can watch out for. I think we're running dangerously close to the end of our hangout. Is there anything that you would like to add, or any type of final questions that you have for anybody here before we sign out of the broadcast?
Nothing that I have, but I think I'm going to open it up to them and see if they have anything else that they would like to share, either around their death, why they continue to hold on to this space, and if there's anything further we can do to release them.
Sure.
So one thing at a time. Is there anything more they would like us to know about themselves? They just say times are tough. And that's where I feel like also, because times were so tough when they left, they can't let that go, and they can't let it be behind them. Noticing today that I'm trying to just talk them through this. This doesn't have to be the way. Times are not so tough here. This building is well cared for. There's nothing to be hiding from. Everything's okay. Anything else you want to share? This is a new thing that I just wanted to add in. If you guys ever take photographs here, pay attention to orbs.
Okay.
Are you familiar with what an orb is?
I've heard about them before.
So those people that might not know what an orb is, usually it's like a clear bubble-ish kind of thing. Usually this shows up with electronic digital photographs, so maybe this is more with your cell phone and so forth. On your photos, it might show up as if it's like a little piece of speck of dust. But pay attention, especially in areas like this. It'd be really interesting to just take pictures right now and see, because clearly there's activity. It would be really interesting to see if any kind of orbs or little bubbles floating through the air kind of pop up. This is how I feel like they're going to show themselves. They wanted me to mention that. Anything further before we take a look at how this company can support you as you make your transition from haunting them? Walter's just relieved. He says, thank you. Finally, the word is out that he was not the bad guy that everyone perceived him to be, Mr. Sly Fox. He was a good man, and that's what he wants everyone to remember. I'm just going to put that out there for all McKinney employees. If and when they see these signs and symbols, say hello. This helps him to feel recognized, important, so he doesn't have to be in the shadows as a scary being anymore. He can be welcomed as a part of your team. Okay? Anything else?
No.
Yeah, let's go into Stacy's room for one last goodbye, and we'll close out the session and call it a night. Cool.
Better light in there, is it?
If you guys get any first.
there anything that we need to know about this room before we go ahead and wind down? Walter breaks down and is crying. This is a place of contention for him. I'm letting him know that he needs to release this. This doesn't serve him or anyone else that's in this building anymore. Did you hear a noise?
I think it's a computer down.
Okay. We're hearing kind of like a whooshing sort of noise. But you hear it, right?
Yeah.
It reminds me of someone breathing, if you can imagine it like that. We hear you. We want you to release it. Let go. It's clearly me. I want to step over there if you don't mind. I'm going to feel as well. I don't feel anything, but something is up in this corner. I want to see if this picks up anything. I don't know.
Okay, well, I will say happy Halloween, everyone, because it's 12:01 a.m. on Halloween. We really like to thank Melissa for coming and helping us and helping answer some questions and spending some time here tonight. I hope that people watching had fun learning about this. I hope that we've answered some questions. So on behalf of myself and David Sloan, so Jordan Aiken, Melissa Steele, and we have a whole bunch of other guys on the team back in control room. We want to thank all of them and everyone watching. And we're going to end the broadcast now, sign off, and we just want to remind everybody to come back here November 1st. We're going to compile what we've gotten tonight. We're going to put our heads together. We're going to think through some of the stories we've gotten here tonight, put them in with some of the stories we've gotten in the past, and we'll try to formulate what we think is the best theory as to who's haunting McKinney. If it's one person, many people, and why. And we'll be sharing that on the site November 1st. And we encourage everyone to come back then and keep looking for further details. We'll be taking some of this stuff and adding hotspots to the map and stuff like that. So thank you everyone for watching, and happy Halloween. Good night.